after discussion, we think that it would be appropriate to begin each episode with an embarrassing story about one of us. This is going to be a short one today because it's kind of a long episode. But Laney, why don't you tell us about your trip to KFC?
Oh. Yeah, we're going to do my less embarrassing story.
No, we're going to do the embarrassing one.
Well, so KFC stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken, as you all may know.
Thank you, Lane.
KFC stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken, as you all may know. And tonight, after the announcement of the Cheeto chicken sandwich, yes, it's a real thing, we decided to go there, and Jensen really wanted to try it. So,
it was okay.
The KFC that we usually go to was closed, so we went to a different one, and we walk in, and I'm just like, wow, this is a big KFC, it's really fancy looking, and we get our stuff, and then there's like a suit there.
Colonel Sanders suit.
Yeah, it's Colonel
glass.
Sanders suit, and I immediately just think, wow, he be short, he's about my height, and then we kept walking, and we were eating. And then, wait, no, we weren't eating. We didn't have our food yet. Elsa and I went up to the counter to wait for our food. And as we're waiting there, I just say, this is a really bougie KFC. Like, why is it so fancy? And Elsa just looks at me and goes, this is the original KFC. And...
Did you immediately shout, I thought that was in Kentucky?
Yeah, I did.
She did. She was like, but Kentucky! Because we're not in Kentucky, we're in Utah. And, like, little known fact, okay, I think everybody in Utah knows. It's not that little known. I think everybody in Utah knows this.
Yeah, except Laney.
I'm the only one.
So the first, like, KFC franchise was here in Salt Lake at this, according to Laney, bougie KFC down on State Street and 33rd.
It was bougie.
It's nice.
A buffet.
It's big.
It had a decorative suit in the middle.
Yeah, it had a big old, like...
It had...
Colonel Sanders suit in glass.
It had busts of the Colonel himself. It had statues, the Colonel and friends.
It had pictures all over the walls, just like any other
it's like
crazy restaurant like Applebee's.
And somehow
or Red
I
Robin.
just like didn't put it together that this KFC was special in any way. I just thought it was like in a nice part of town, and some people were like, "We want this KFC to kick butt."
Nice part of town.
I know it's really not. It's like
it's in North Murray. I realize that now. North Murray.
There's like a lot. There's like a lot of articles and things on the wall. It's basically like all just an homage to like the entrepreneurial spirit, because this is an incredibly successful franchise. And in fairness, the owner had a restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, where he served fried chicken, but this is when it became a franchise. So, you know, it's very successful now. People are proud of it. It's a nice KFC.
So basically, everyone in that KFC watched as my entire worldview collapsed.
She was like freaking out. She was like, wait, but it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're not in Kentucky. And she just like couldn't reconcile this.
I mean,
and was having a real hard time with it.
I guess Utah Fried Chicken.
And you know what? You deserved to have all those fried chicken patrons laughing at you.
Also,
just so you know.
Also, Utah Fried Chicken. The thing for that would be UFC. No. Who wants to eat chicken from a place called UFC?
Okay. So Jensen pointed out that we never discussed in our last episode why it was that we didn't talk about the fact that we didn't do an E3 episode. So I'm going to just summarize from our conversation what I think the reason was. E3 was boring. We don't want to talk about it. Right? Like, I think that was... I mean, it's oversimplifying it, but that's pretty much...
definitely oversimplifying. I mean, for me, I didn't even try to watch E3 because I was so jet-lagged, I fell asleep on the floor in my room.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
I fell asleep at like 5 that night.
Laney fell asleep upside down on an ottoman, and she woke up at 2 a.m.
Well,
she was still there,
it wasn't...
and she hadn't eaten anything.
I fell asleep on the couch and the ottoman together, and when I woke up,
upside down.
The ottoman and the couch had like shifted away from each other, so my butt was just like hanging on the floor, and I was like, oh, that's why my back hurts.
So my point is, none of us watched E3.
Yeah.
But then when it came time to like catch up on what had been going on at E3 in the previous days, we looked at the summaries and we were like, oh, okay.
I mean, Cyberpunk, yay.
That was neat.
Keanu
but that-
Reeves.
We learned
Yay.
about that in
Hooray
Venice, though.
for the Keanu
Yeah, we
songs.
did. We learned about that when we were still in Venice.
So-
Elden
like,
Ring.
cool.
I mean, I'm stoked.
Looks cool. I don't know what it's
yeah.
about, but it looks cool.
And then Nintendo hilariously won, even after they decided not to have a press conference. Vampire the Masquerade,
Vampire the Masquerade.
Breath of the Wild 2.
And the Outer Worlds, which I'm like the only person who's excited about, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's it. I mean, that covers it, right?
Well, there's Final Fantasy VII
Oh,
remake.
yeah.
Finally got a
Yay,
release
yet another
date.
trailer.
No, it's got a release
But
date.
it has a release date.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, it's
what's
like
it gonna look like for real?
And Rob played it.
Yeah.
Rob from PlayStation
it's
Access.
like
He played some.
confirmed a thing that's happening. Before it was just like, oh, and we didn't really know.
Yeah,
They're
it's
like-
still, it's just like this nebulous promise, but now it's like it's happening.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that the feel that I get from it is still a little ooh.
Yeah, but now they actually have gameplay, which is more
Yeah.
promising than just seeing some pretty cutscenes.
Yeah.
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 I guess.
I mean,
Anyway,
I'm
E3.
excited.
The point is, we didn't want to talk about E3, and I
I mean,
guess
we
just
covered
did.
it just in like 4 minutes, so
The most efficient E3 episode ever.
woo.
It's over.
That'll
now
be the
to
name
the
of the
next
episode.
episode.
And that was Princess in Another Podcast.
That was everything about
It was
E3.
the whole episode.
In
Yeah.
the can.
Yeah.
It's done. Okay. So, Erin, what are you playing right now?
So I've been playing The Last Guardian, which is beautiful, and I love puzzle bits and the adorable Trico. He's just like a cute, loyal dog, and oh yeah, so cute. Started The Sinking City, which is pretty good so far, and I kind of played a little bit of Witcher 3 after almost a full year of not playing, so yeah, I thought I was looking at the map. I was like, oh, this map isn't as big as I remember. And then I figured out I needed to look at the world map, and I zoomed out, and I was like, oh. So,
Did
yeah.
you never do that before, or you just forgot?
I just forgot
Oh, okay.
that was an option.
It reminds me of the first time I played Assassin's Creed Origins, and I just started
my
pulling out
gosh.
on the map, and then it just kept going and going and going, and I was like, I don't know whether to be really excited or terrified.
Yeah.
What? Why are you giggling?
Well, when she called Trico a big loyal dog, I just thought it's like Japanese Clifford. For some reason, I found that funny enough to like die in silent laughter.
And Laney,
Okay.
what are you playing right now?
I haven't been playing much. I've been playing a little bit of Fallout 4 because I heard a song that made me think of it, and then I was like, oh, I have that game. So I've been playing that, and then yesterday I started Devil May Cry 5, which is certainly a fun time. But every time what's his name? I don't even know their names. Every time what's his name puts his sword into the ground and then he revs it, I'm just like,
Yeah, I think in cutscenes he does that literally like twice.
like it's a Japanese.
Okay, well, she's seen 'em both.
game.
Oh, Laney, that's not the most outrageous thing.
I know.
No, I mean
but,
that's
like,
pretty
Even,
mild.
it's not even close.
that started me with an eye roll. I was just like, oh boy.
I was gonna say yes. I noticed that you started playing Devil May Cry 5 because I went to go get it to play it today, and it wasn't on my shelf.
I thought you were playing Sekiro.
I was.
You were really liking it.
I
It was
wanted-
the only thing you were talking about.
I wanted to pause anyway.
Got some giggling in the background.
They're just waiting. They just have Stranger Things up, and they're waiting for the third.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh! Tell me when it.
So mean.
Tell me when it pops up.
It's 11:30 right now, so
We wanted to start at 10:30.
Yeah, we wanted to start forever ago.
Yeah.
We watched an entire Monster Factory episode while you guys were in there drinking your nasty soda.
Stuff was gross.
Can I just mention, I said I love the puzzle bits in The Last Guardian, but the whole game is a puzzle bit.
Yeah, so you love the whole game?
Yeah, I love the whole game.
Wow.
It's late.
Yeah, that's all good.
Jensen, what are you playing right now?
So I went back to Dark Souls and continued my New Game Plus. I haven't played it for about a year. And I actually ended up beating Ornstein and Smog and the Moonlight Butterfly and the Hydra all in one night after telling Elsa that I was just going to get to the platform right before the Archers in Anne Orlando, and then I was going to go to sleep. That didn't happen, obviously.
And didn't you do that on the cruise?
No. On the cruise, I beat the... I finished Sen's Fortress, and I beat the Iron Golem. Is that what his name is? I always want to say the Iron Giant, and I know that's wrong.
Superman.
I beat the dude, the Sen's Fortress dude, and I got to Anne Orlando.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
When I was playing Sen's Fortress, I definitely watched the Iron Giant.
Lovely.
I'm crying.
Okay. But yeah, on the cruise, that's where I got to. I was playing on my Switch. But at home on my Xbox, I did that other stuff. And then I also played all of Spider-Man and got the Platinum Trophy for it.
Yeah.
I did that in the 2 weeks after we got back from our cruise. And I actually managed to pick up Spider-Man for like $3.60 something cents or something. Because I used the coupon. So, woo.
You weren't gonna say the rest of it?
What did I say?
No, you've just got a whole.
Spider-Man.
You've got a whole stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I loved Spider-Man. I cried. I really didn't expect that. And I also really liked Mary Jane. This is the only.
Erin shakes her head in disappointment.
I honestly don't know what your deal.
Yeah, what is your deal?
She's stupid.
But
Yeah,
this
she
is
in
the
every
only iteration of Mary Jane where she's not useless and stupid. She's a real human girl.
Can't she be useful and smart? Why does she have to be dumb
She's
at the
not
same
okay,
time?
but she's not that dumb. Okay,
She is. I'm
She's
not made
really-
of paper, Peter. It's like, well, you don't have superpowers either, so stop
I know, but at the same
going
time-
into these horrible
At the same time,
places.
okay. Spider-Man does have a problem of just like assuming that she's like gonna get in trouble all the time, because literally I had played through multiple levels with her sneaking around and we'd been fine. And then Spider-Man hears that she's gonna go sneak in this other place,
'Cause
and
it's a game.
I go, oh, okay, cool. So I guess I'll be playing that part with her later. So what am I gonna do right now? And he goes, oh my gosh, I have to get over there and help her. And I'm like, why do you think you need to go over there and help her? Just hear about the story later. It's
because
fine.
there are guns.
Yeah, but she was fine.
because it's a game.
She would have
Anyway,
been fine.
I think
I mean,
she's
if it was-
stupid
if it was
and
a real life-
annoying.
If it was a real life situation, then obviously you'd be like, don't do that.
Yeah, you'd maybe be like, I don't know if that's the best idea, but it's a video game.
Mary.
But and also like, yeah, he's kind of always doing that, and she's perfectly fine. She figures it out. She's, she wants to be his partner, and so I understand her being annoyed that he's, treating her like she's made of glass.
Yeah. Well,
But-
I'm glad she eventually got weapons and
Yes,
distractions.
dude,
because before
freaking
that,
tasers.
I was like, oh my gosh, Mary Jane.
But- But and like, okay, I normally hate Mary Jane. I'm always like, just go with Gwen Stacy. She's cool and normal. And Mary Jane's always depicted as like, there's that stupid picture where she's posing all weird. I'll definitely put that up on the Instagram. And like that's like what I picture in my head whenever I think of Mary Jane. And I'm always like, oh my gosh.
I did catch
But then-
myself
It's like-
sitting like that the other day.
Okay, but Elsa, you don't move like a human.
But when they introduced Mary Jane in the game, I don't think I had seen her yet very much when you'd played. I think I saw like one scene with her, but it was like too quick to like know what was going on or even realize that was Mary Jane. When I saw her in the game, my first thought was, she's normal. She's not like some weird like freaking cardboard cutout human lamp lady chick. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Red hair.
Sexy lamp.
Sexy
She's not a
lamp.
sexy lamp.
With red hair.
Yes, she's not a sexy redheaded lamp. She's a real person, and they made her look so cute and normal and human, and I was just like, yay! I love her already.
Well,
In
I'm-
my wildest dreams, I wanted this podcast to be all about hot takes and us disagreeing with each other. Thank you for finally making that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
12
Also,
episodes
I'm
in.
glad you guys.
I'm
like
glad you're
her
on the other.
because,
I'm
Also-
glad that you were on the
Yeah.
other side of this issue.
Yeah,
Fragile. Must be Italian.
Sexy lamp. I get it.
Everybody laugh at Laney's joke.
Okay.
Elsa, what are you playing?
I have been playing a lot of Sekiro. I got a little bit obsessed with it the last couple of days. I've been having to play it just like an hour at a time here and there because of my weird schedule and us leaving the country for several weeks. And but now I finally got a little bit of solid playtime in because I got sick, which, you know, it was nice. I was a little bit ill over the weekend.
Oh, I wish I would get sick.
You guys get sick a
frequently.
lot.
Like, I'm not, like, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been like, I wish I would get sick more so I could stay home and play video games.
Yeah.
And it just never happens.
I guess
When I do get sick, I feel bad about missing my obligations, so I just go anyway.
I guess I haven't been paying attention at all because I did not know that.
That I was ill.
Yeah.
You thought it was normal for me to sleep for 14 hours?
Have
Yeah,
you
you have narcolepsy.
Elsa, you have insomnia. You have like every sleep problem ever.
You have sleep paralysis. You have hypnagogia. You have all of the sleep problems. Of course I thought it was normal for you to sleep 14 hours.
You weren't sick when we went to Texas Roadhouse. Were you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You were sick when we went to the
That's the thing,
Gamescom?
kind of what you were talking about. See, I've got this issue going on where when I'm sick, I just kind of continue doing things.
Yeah.
But I did allow myself a little bit this time to be like, no, you're ill. You know, you don't have any appointments, so you don't need to go into work. Like, I definitely gave myself a little bit more leeway than I usually do. And because of that, I had a few extra hours to throw into Sekiro, and that was my only point. I didn't need all of the other character assassination stuff. Rude.
I'm sorry.
I love you, Elsa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's the only one.
And then I also played a little bit of Devil May Cry 5 after I went looking for where it had gone off to. And
I'm just a little confused at why you didn't at least send her a text and be like, "Hey, I'm borrowing your game," even though she wasn't there, and just like. I mean, it's a little different because you always borrow my games, but you never borrow
probably
hers.
just
so.
the excitement to play Devil May Cry 5.
Look,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I will forgive her because of the excitement to play Devil May Cry 5, but tangent question.
Could you
really...
not speak as if I am not in your presence? Can I please defend myself?
No. Tangent question right now. Everybody vote yay or nay. Borrowing games, what's the etiquette rule? Do you ask or do you not ask if you're in the same household? Because, I mean, obviously, if it's a completely different house, you gotta ask somebody because you need their permission to, like, enter. And you don't want to just take something.
Depends.
So
Are
you're
you a
hanging out
klepto?
there.
I would
No,
say
that's not the standard. The standard is you're borrowing from somebody else in the same household. Do you ask or do you not ask?
I think it depends. I think that when it comes to Laney borrowing games from me or me borrowing games from Laney, our rooms are right next to each other. So it's kind of obvious when we borrowed each other's games. You can usually just like peer in and be like, oh yeah, it's there. But your room is in the basement. That's several floors away. And so
Several.
it's
Two.
It's 2 floors away.
counting is hard. It's 2 floors away. And so
twos of floor.
it's harder. I am supremely lazy, and it's harder to check on if someone has borrowed your game if you have to go 2 floors down,
Okay,
or vice versa.
can
2
I
floors
please
up.
give my little defense? I'm honestly forgetting it as you guys keep speaking.
Please go.
It's fine. We're
I'd
just
at least like notice.
In-
It's fine. I don't care. Like, if you were to borrow one of my games, I would at least expect you to be like, "Hey, I've borrowed your game." Like, you don't need to ask my permission, but at least like informing me.
I was just gonna say, you were really into Sekiro. I didn't think you were gonna play any more Devil May Cry for a little bit, and I honestly just sort of forgot. I was like on an impulse in the night. I took it upstairs and started playing it, and I forgot to tell you.
I really don't mind that much. I'm just giving you crap.
I'm leaving. I'm folding up my chair and I'm dragging it out.
Laney,
And
come back!
I'm going to Walmart.
Come back,
Walmart's open right now. They'll take me.
Laney, I'm defending you. Come back.
Oh man.
Anyway, I wanted to pause from Sekiro because I'm kind of at the point in the game where like I've explored a lot of the areas, like I've opened everything up, I've explored a lot of the areas. And so the rest of the game for me is just going to be a boss rush. Because there's just not a whole lot else to do. So I decided to take a pause. And I mean, okay, well, now that I'm saying that, it kind of seems like most of the game is just a boss rush. Whatever, doesn't matter. I took a pause, and I wanted to play in the Bloody Palace for a little while, basically. So what I was going to say, way back when we first started this conversation, is that I went ahead and I tried out the Bloody Palace for the first time, which is something I've been meaning to do for several weeks now. And I played with each of the characters. And just in case you don't know, the Bloody Palace is the DLC for Devil May Cry 5. It's essentially just wave after wave of enemies, and you go through each stage, and you just keep beating them as long as you can survive, essentially. So I just tried it out with each of the characters, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, I am the worst with Dante. Nero, I'm okay. V is almost too easy. I rarely get hurt when, like, period.
Yeah.
When I fight with V, the only problem is I do run out of time sometimes.
It's because of his goth sandals. It gives him some sort of power.
Yes.
And
Just like Hercules wore sandals.
Yeah,
That's why.
It's the OP secret. I wear sandals. I secretly
And Jesus wore
overpowered.
sandals.
How is it that you guys managed to come up with the dumbest conspiracy theories?
You're just jealous because we solved a mystery of the
Sandals give you power. Why have I been wearing these stupid shoes?
sandals equal power confirmed. 2019, guys.
Okay.
Elsa's wearing sandals and she's the one who moderates this. She has the power.
Okay, but how successfully do I moderate it? And you guys get to edit this episode.
I know.
Just so you know. Jackson looks like resigned.
I already know I'm doing it.
Those sandals look like they have the power of Grayskull.
As mentioned, I wasn't feeling super well over the weekend, but we still went to Gamescom.
Yeah.
We went to a total of 3 panels.
Yes. 4 because we went to the one on Thursday also.
Oh, right. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
The one that Corinne was at.
Oh, yeah. And you got to see. Okay, so Corinne is Jensen's old professor, and she got to see
Yes.
her.
It's
And-
fun.
Well, she's young, but I mean, like, her
My
professor
previous
from previous
professor
when she used to be.
in college.
English is dumb.
A former
Yeah.
professor.
Former professor. Yes. Of narrative in games.
writing tutor.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have several questions. And by several, I mean we basically have one question for each of the panels that we went to that we were just going to kind of address because it was a fun time. Like, a GamesCon is just a local thing that they do here in Salt Lake City. I think they were bragging that it's like the 6th largest con in the US or something. And
Video game con.
yeah,
specifically, I
video
think.
game con specifically, which I was like, okay, well, that's like really narrowing it. Oh, anyway,
Yeah.
it was a fun time. It was a very
good.
fun time.
Mhm.
And so the panel we went to on Thursday was for, oh no, I forgot.
It was
what
for
it's called.
What can video
Video-
games accomplish that
No,
movies
I'm
movies
can't?
talking about the
basically?
network.
Or is, like-
There's a word. There's a name for the networking.
Uden.
UDIN.
Mhm.
That's
UDIN,
right.
yeah.
It stands for
Utah Entertainment Develop.
I thought it was
No.
UDEN.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Utah
Uden.
Development Entertainment
Network.
Network.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh my gosh, we did it!
5.
That is 90% guess and probably correct. Anyway, Uden. And they seem great. They're a networking group here in Utah that has to do with video games and movies and other people involved in media, YouTubing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
YouTubing, is it a verb? It's a verb. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And then all of them getting together and essentially helping each other out and networking. And it seems like a really positive, supportive thing that people are doing here in Salt Lake. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we went to that, and they were talking a little bit about the relationship between movies and video games. So our question is going to be about that for this. What can video games accomplish that movies can't, vice versa? And let's go ahead and start with Laney.
Okay, great. Well, my answer is very short and concise. I think the main thing about video games is that it puts you in the situation so that the events going on are happening to you rather than you observing them like in a movie. And it sort of puts you more into it. You're more connected to the characters immediately. Like I can tell you when I played The Last of Us, they immediately have you play as Joel's daughter, and it makes you connect with her like immediately. Not just because she's a cute girl, because in a movie, like, yeah, she's a cute girl, but maybe you wouldn't have felt it as deeply as you did when you played as her in the beginning. And my other example is that I love horror movies, and I feel like I've got an okay stomach for horror movies, but when it comes to horror games, I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted you to go first, because I kind of want to bounce off of that. Because the thing that I kept thinking of that I love that you can do in games that you can't really do in movies is that it kind of requires that patience. And like, you can't watch somebody go through a traumatic experience in real time as easily in a film. Like, I mean, they've done it before, but they tend to be either really boring or really long. And in a video game, I feel like it manages to put you in this position where you can experience things on this really like this level that you're just not going to appreciate in a film. Like a 6 hour, I'm thinking specifically in my head when I played Outlast. If you were watching that happen in the time it takes you to go through the actual game on a film, that would just be boring. It would be a lot of walking around and nothing happening. But because you're playing it, there's tension there. You're constantly worried that something's going to happen. But there's, it can be long stretches of time between any kind of event. And I sort of love that. I sort of love that it requires a little bit of patience and it requires you to kind of suspend that tension. It does make it a more realistic experience, which I think is why you, as somebody who's a fan of horror in film, doesn't necessarily respond well to horror in games because you don't like that suspension of tension. Personally, I love it. I really, really like that a lot. And that's something that video games can give me that horror movies can't. For me, horror movies are such a passive experience. Even the best of them are. But with a video game, it becomes so much less passive.
Yeah, I mean, I am having trouble finding horror movies that actually scare me now. Like, there's some where I'm like, oh, that's kind of gross, and I sort of hate humanity a little bit, but I'm not, like, scared. I'm not, like, going to sleep at night like, oh, no, they're gonna get me.
Well, it's not necessarily feeling gonna get me, but sometimes there's that existential dread or just those... Like, I think the last movie I watched where I felt really disturbed and I, like, thought about it for a while afterwards and just kept having these little moments of, oh, that was messed up. It was probably Hereditary. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about that one before.
But I'm talking here, like, I can't get a single horror movie to make my monkey brain scared.
Yeah.
You know? Like, none of them make my monkey brain scared, but a horror game, my monkey brain is going crazy. My monkey brain thinks that it's gonna get murdered.
So, Jensen.
All right. Basically, what Laney said about, like, being able to be in the action and be another character, but, like, specifically the fact that you can become a character that is both you and not you. Like, you can play as someone who is a completely different kind of person than you. You know, you can be a different race, you can be a different gender, you can be different, like, any, like, different situation, different nationality, anything. But you end up connecting with them because they are you, and that's like, you can't really do that with film or with books or anything like that. Like, and
people try, and ideally you achieve a level of empathy that's like,
but it's
really
not
effective.
It's a different kind because there's still that disconnect because you're watching them, that's not you when you're watching them on, like, a movie, but, like, or if you're reading about them in a book, but when you're playing as them, it feels like you.
It's so immediate.
It's like, it's because in a movie you can relate to them, but in a video game you're making those decisions.
You're doing all that for them. And that's what I love, and that's why I love to, like, That's why I played Mass Effect 21 times. It's because I wanted to play as different characters and make different decisions that I was like, this is a decision I would never make. Let's make that decision, and then let's feel connected to the shepherd that has made that decision,
I would maybe simplify it into just saying that you feel more responsible for the character.
Yeah.
When you're the one who is in charge of what they're going to do.
Therefore, you
Exactly.
feel more for them.
Yeah.
And you feel more empathetic.
If
for them,
like
more
something
connected
wrong
to them.
happens, you're gonna feel more remorse for them.
Like I can empathize or sympathize for days with a movie character, but nothing they're doing is because of me. It's because of a bunch of writers and directors.
You're
and
frequently like, why would you make that choice?
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, well, that's an interesting decision. But with the video game, you're the one making the interesting
and
decisions.
when you make a dumb choice, you have to go, why did I make that choice?
Yeah.
I said that an incorrect thing. I've beaten Mass Effect 20 times, not 21 yet.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about the 21st time a lot lately. That's why.
Dang dog.
I'm planning my 21st playthrough.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna make all the dumb people choices, and I'm gonna Twitch stream it, and I'm really excited.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything different to say than you guys for video games. Like, that's exactly how I feel, like completely connected, completely inserted into the game. So I'll go the other direction and tell you what movies and TV shows can do for me that video games can't. So I mean, some video games can be exhausting, like all the fetch quests and all the traveling and the fights that you don't want to do and all of that stuff. So sometimes I just need to be pulled along for the ride and let them take care of everything for me. Like, just be an observer. And yeah.
It's funny. I almost feel like I get what you're talking about, but at the same time, I sometimes feel the complete opposite. Like, okay, I'm really excited for Stranger Things, but I also am so stressed out about it because I know that they've talked about this season like being like the darkest season, and like, Noah not being like, I cried and stuff, and I'm stressing out being pulled along in their journey, and I'm thinking I'd much rather be like in there in a game because then I would have some control.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, anyway, sorry. I think I derailed that a little bit.
No, that's fine.
It's
No, I
interesting.
agree.
I think at the panel, I don't remember them talking specifically about horror movies very much or about horror games, but I found that like that was what I was thinking of more than anything, because I think that's an interesting contrast. And I know that you guys are not like really big into survival horror the way that I am.
I thought you were going to say you're not into horror movies, and I was going to be like,
No,
Elsa, how
excuse
many
me.
times do I have to tell you I love horror movies? I don't like horror games because I'm a scaredy cat. That's the
Anyway.
one thing where it's
No,
like
I was gonna
definitely
say-
flipped. I'm more stressed playing through a horror game than I am watching a horror movie.
I understand that I'm the one who really likes survival horror, and that the rest of you just sort of tolerate it from time to time.
I do enjoy it. I just
I
can't
like
play
watching
Yeah,
it
I like watching
because
it.
then it's like a horror movie, which I love.
Well, that's
But
good.
I
I
don't
love
like
its
playing it
existence.
because
It's
I'm
out there
scared.
living its best life. It's just that I can't do anything.
I appreciate it that it's there, but I don't necessarily need to take part in it.
I'd kind of gotten that from the fact that you guys have watched me play a lot of games, even if you were,
Even if we were watching through our fingers.
Yeah,
And jumped
exactly.
against the wall a couple of times in
I-
fear.
I
I
don't-
literally tried to claw my way out of her room once. When she was playing Outlast 2 and you were in the cornfield, you remember?
Oh yeah.
You were sneaking through the cornfield and I got so scared I leapt at the wall.
Wait, crawl your way out of her
Claw.
Claw your
I was
her-
like scratching at the wall.
claw your way out of her room. Does she live in the pit of Buffalo Bill's house?
I just like leapt at the wall and was like, I need to get out of here. And then she made me play through that part and I was just screaming. I got through it, but I was screaming the whole time.
It's that
I was
exact
so
thing.
scared.
It's
That
that
was so
exact
funny.
thing that makes every time I play Until Dawn and it's got the picture of the barn, the scarecrow, and the cornfield, and he's like, "What scares you about this picture? Where is it?" I'm always like, "The cornfield." It's the cornfield. And he's like, "Do you know what it is?" I'm like, "No."
That's why it scares me.
It's the unknown, you idiot. Are you a psychiatrist or not? Oh, wait.
Okay, sorry. I've derailed you so bad.
As I was going to say, like 5 freaking minutes ago, we went to another panel about horror. In addition to well, okay, the movie one wasn't about horror, but I just felt like it should have been the whole time. The other panel we went to was about horror games, but it was actually talking a little bit more in the vein of horror tabletop games.
Yeah.
Horror tabletop games are the only type of horror games that we've all played together.
Yeah.
Only type of tabletop games we've all played together. We've all
probably the only type of horror games we've all played together too, let's be honest.
And we were reminded of some horror tabletop games that we've loved, including, I'll talk about this first. So, Nightmare.
Yes.
Does anybody remember this? You had a VHS tape and you'd put it in the TV, and this spooky dude called the Gatekeeper would appear and yell abuses at you for an hour.
It was a spooker.
And guide you through your game. And it was so fun.
It hardcore gave me nightmares
Dude,
as a child.
okay.
I remember playing with Brittany and Becca and just being terrified.
It was the greatest.
Every
Especially because I think he
sleepover.
picks on the youngest one a lot.
He
and I was the
does.
youngest.
Yeah, I remember that.
Every sleepover I had with my childhood friends, we played Nightmare, and it got to the point where they didn't want to, and I was like, Nightmare, 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 and they were like, Lane, no, and I was, Lane, yes. And it was really fun because I wasn't the youngest in that group.
I think we only had the original game. I looked it up, and there have been many sequels to this.
Yeah.
And we need to
What?
track them
We
down.
need to find them. We only have the one.
Yeah.
But we
transferred it to DVD so we could keep it and play it forever. Because the VHS copy was starting to break, but our dad got a VHS to DVD copier, and so
it
we
was
just
one of the first
transferred
ones
it.
we did.
We really-
we need to keep this forever.
And we really need to do a let's play of it.
Yes.
Maybe at a time where I'm gone so that I'm not the youngest. But
Yeah, right.
I
We're gonna
would-
do this for Halloween.
if I'm still here, I'm probably gonna still be still here.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about horror games that we've played and loved, because we actually all have played and loved horror games. It's not just me. It's all of you too.
It's not just you.
So
but
Erin.
Yeah, surprisingly enough. So yeah, Dread is super fun and funny. Honestly, I don't really get scared playing it. Just, I don't know, maybe my imagination isn't good enough.
And
I usually play a drunk and or a flirt.
Yes.
Dread is a tabletop game, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
My bad.
It's a tabletop
Yes.
game.
A flirt who flirted with my character, by the way.
Yes.
And he was always
and
like,
then she
no.
sacrificed herself for him. She grabbed his robot arm and set it to self-destruct and then ran at the enemies with it and was like, I love you! And exploded. You exploded in 2 of our Dread games because you also exploded when you were the drunk. We used you to light the enemy on fire. And because the barrels turned out to actually be full of blood instead of wine because our DM lied to us.
I'm so mad
Our
about
GM.
that.
My-
I guess.
And
I know.
my poor stoic captain wasn't sure how to feel about that.
Wait,
My
This
only
is-
lady is space.
this is another tangent, but just a public service announcement to all of the GMs or DMs out there. Unreliable narrator doesn't really work in a tabletop RPG. Okay. Can we all just agree that, don't test that. I'm sure you could find ways to make it work, but generally speaking, you don't get to just lie to the player.
If you don't want to be completely direct, you can just say, it seems like this. Your
Yeah.
character sees this.
That's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Because, yeah.
Am I out of
But
line here?
lying and telling us that they were full of wine,
Yeah.
and then we found out no, they're full of
Look,
blood.
the casks
which was
aren't full of blood. It's wine.
Which is why I broke the cask open to check if it was full of blood, and he's like, "No, it's wine."
Right.
Lies.
See,
Lies.
if he wanted to say it and not say it's full of blood, he could have just said, it is a red liquid, and you put it in your hands, and it doesn't really look like wine. And if you wanted, you could taste it, and he'd say, has an irony and salty taste to it. You'd be like, yeah, it's blood.
Yeah. And didn't you lose like a hand or a couple of fingers trying to move those stupid casks over there because you thought they were full of wine and we were going to use them to blow up the enemy?
I lost my entire damn hand in that scene.
Oh my gosh. That game was amazing.
Yeah.
But
That was an amazing game.
even though it was a disaster and it was that way because I decided I wasn't going to let the murderer get away.
Why haven't we played Dread since I've been home? What the
Anyways,
heck?
Okay.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
ultimately we had fun, so I guess the GM did his job.
worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
I've talked about Until Dawn before. I can only play that because there's a lot of QTEs in it and lots of decisions to be made. But it still gives me like the jump scares and like the fear of, oh my gosh, I could die, and it's permadeath. Like, that's pretty cool. I always talk about thief levels. There's always one like haunted or really creepy level in all of the thief games, which I think is pretty cool because who would make a game about a thief and be like, hey, we should have like a horror level, like just horror. I'm saying that weird. Horror. Horror.
The rural juror.
The Roger. Anyway, yeah. The most recent thief they did was actually pretty terrifying and did
Elsa
a
played
great job.
Elsa played through that level.
She was fine.
And she was like practically yawning the whole time, especially because it was like 3 a.m. when we made her play it.
Yeah.
But she was just like, this is not scary, you guys. And we were like over there in the corner, like shaking.
It's like, it is. It's an insane asylum and it's haunted. It's scary.
It's just
It was,
like, nah, it's okay.
eerie. I liked the stealth elements. I was
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
You were legit
confusing,
falling
though.
asleep, though.
You better
were just
believe
like,
there's a video game writer and they're like, okay, scary level. What's gonna scare them? Like, insane asylum? That's haunted. And Elsa's just like, it's aight.
Picture this. No one's ever done this before.
They like have a wheel and they like spin. It's insane asylum. And then they roll some dice and they look at a key and they're like haunted. And they're like in the first room
And
you
then they-
see a wheelchair.
and then they get some of those like those bones that you use for like fortune telling, and they're to go by a janitor.
So that's kind of how Thief makes its scary levels. Exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just talking about scary settings, I feel like you can pitch stuff that like that kind of works and just immediately sort of brings to mind dread. But then you could also be like, your grandmother's room. She's been missing for 3 months.
Oh, heck no. Grandma, Mima, where you at?
There's a tea set on the ground
No.
Why
and
is
a
my grandma
single
doesn't belong there?
cigarette that's ashed. It's
What are you
still
talking
warm.
about? My grandma doesn't smoke. Oh, I get it. It's not my grandma.
You just cut all of that.
What about
Please keep it on.
what about a grocery store?
I'm cutting that.
Oh,
And
you
you walk
went to
past
high school.
You walk past
A haunted carrot.
No, a grocery store can be really scary.
No,
It's a grocery
you walk
store.
past
Why
the milk
are-
aisle and you see a person standing there and you lock eyes with them and then you get scared because they're a stranger.
So it's just like
So just a normal
this is just like
grocery
anxiety
store.
adventure.
Lane's just
Anxiety,
describing
the game.
No, a grocery store.
You're like your controller's just always vibrating.
No, not always vibrating, because then you too used to it. Random moments. You're just like walking around, all of a sudden it's just
You're like, wait, why is this making me nervous?
right.
No, but a grocery store can be a legitimately terrifying setting. All you have to do is add a few broken lights, a couple of things spilled on the ground for no reason,
And
some
rotting.
foods that's rotting, and also you're looking around, you can't see a clerk anywhere, and then you go over to the milk aisle and you look through them and you see a person standing there just staring at you,
And-
a single tear rolls down their cheek.
And for some inexplicable unthinkable reason, all I want for Christmas is playing yours.
What?
All I want for Christmas is you.
No, can we change that to Fly Me to the Moon?
Okay.
Ooh.
That
That's
actually
better.
works though. Mine was a joke.
Yeah.
Wait.
Laney was
Oh.
trying to lighten it because she
I
was
was
getting
saying-
scared.
I'm sorry.
Oh, but anxiety the game. I want to actually make this.
Okay.
Also, can I just say I had to go upstairs to ask one of the people who I work with if he could make a sign saying that we were closed for July 4th and our hours were different for July 5th. And I went up there and I asked him. And then as I was walking away, I realized that my heart hurt. And I was like sweating profusely. And I got to the elevator and was like, oh, I have anxiety.
How is it that you have a job working with people?
I don't know.
I think it's Jensen and then we're done.
Okay. So I really don't like games that force you to be helpless because I feel like that, for me, that's totally unrealistic. If I was in a dangerous, like, or scary situation, I wouldn't just walk around with, like, just a flashlight going, is anyone there? Like, I would find a weapon. If I needed to, I would make a weapon. I'd break a chair and use the leg, like anything. And so it kind of...
feel.
Sure. It like really frustrates me when I'm put into a game where I have to be helpless. Like Outlast, you just got like your camera. And I'm like, why would you just have a
He's a
camera? What is
pacifist.
wrong with you?
I love that. That's like my favorite type of horror game.
I
He's a
can't.
pacifist, Jensen.
I don't like that. I don't like feeling completely helpless. And so that's part of why I don't like horror. Also because I'm a big whip. So I get really scared really easily. But
Being chased.
I really want you to play Detention. I just decided.
yeah, and I don't like being chased either. But yeah, I like the option to pick up a weapon. So I tend to only like games that are more spooky than real horror. Like I love Bloodborne because it's got that spooky atmosphere, but
It's
I
not
have
trying.
weapons.
Yeah, Bloodborne's not trying to
Yeah.
scare you.
It's not trying to scare me,
Edgy.
but it's spooky. You
It's
know?
trying to make
I love being in a game with a spooky atmosphere, like Vampire. Oh my gosh, I got so terrified a couple times playing Vampire just because of the atmosphere. I'd be walking around and there'd be some enemy making creepy noises, and I'd like go into my vampire like blood sight mode thing, and I'd see them like twitching over there, and I'd be like super freaked out. But not to the point where it was paralyzing because I had weapons, and so I would feel confident enough that like I can beat them. It's okay. I can fight them off. It's creepy, but it's
So
not
you-
debilitating.
So I'd say that you really like cool and gothic as like the main genre, and spooky is maybe like a subgenre.
Yeah.
Or like with Bloodborne, it's cool and gothic is the main genre, and then it also kind of makes you think about cosmic nihilism a little.
Yeah. But yeah, I mainly like spooky things.
Yeah.
Werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky, scary.
What?
Boys becoming men. Men becoming wolves.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. that
You
just
need to watch
popped
30
in
Rock,
my-
lady.
Oh, okay.
She hasn't watched enough of it.
Oh my gosh.
I've watched
okay.
the Sun Tea episode more times than I can count. That's really it.
You need to watch more. You need to watch all of it.
What about
but
the sandwich episode? That one's good.
that one's
That one's
amazing.
good.
And of course, Fun
They're all
Cooker
great.
is like
And
fantastic.
MILF Island.
Milk Island. Yes.
That's great.
Okay, sorry. I got
Okay.
us off top.
And Laney.
So mine basically is the same as everyone else repeated. Until Dawn was the first one I ever actually played.
Mhm.
And I will say I was scared the first time playing through it, but now I can play through it and I'm like,
Poo poo.
anyway. I also like playing Dread. That one's really funny. I played Slenderman when it was the thing, and I was really bad at it, and I could only get like 2 notes, and I started crying.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
See, I tried to play Slenderman,
It's,
but
like,
the computer that I was playing it on was not ideal for the game. I don't know if this is a part of the mechanic or if there was just something wrong with my laptop, but it seemed like the screen kept getting darker as the time went on.
No,
And
yeah,
it got
that's on purpose.
and it got to the
Yeah.
point where I was like, well, I can't even finish this. It's just a black screen with some occasional screaming happening, and I don't know what's
Right.
going on.
Your flashlight runs out of
Yeah.
battery, so it gets progressively darker and darker till you can't see.
I don't
anything.
think it's supposed to be so dark that I literally just can't. It's just a black screen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
that's
the
not
other
part
thing
of it.
I like is I love watching survival horror. I can't play it, but I do love watching it. Like, I watched Elsa play Layers of Fear and Outlast and parts of Outlast 2. Never got to see her play the Whistleblower DLC, so I found a Let's Play of it and watched it. And then a month ago, I was like, I really want to rewatch the Whistleblower DLC. So I watched Markiplier play it, and that was certainly a time. And I really liked it. I love watching Let's Plays of horror games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really fun.
I really enjoy watching horror games, but
can't play 'em.
I'm not strong enough to play them. I keep buying them for some reason. I have all the Dead Space games.
One thing
I've never played them.
I have different from Jensen is that I prefer a horror game, to be one of those, like, you only have a camera
You're helpless.
and you're helpless.
Hmm.
I think it's far more interesting to watch. And
yeah,
also,
it's more interesting to watch, but that's not what I want to play.
And also, weirdly enough, I get, like, a ton of anxiety when it comes down to, like, actually having to kill things in a horror game, because I'm like, oh no, now I have to be good at hand-eye coordination. And with a game where you're helpless, it's more about running and hiding, and I feel like that's a lot more doable.
That's always
and-
so scary to me.
It's a lot more gross motor control and a lot less
Yeah.
fine motor
But
control,
if you're
which is what I suck at.
If your only defense is hiding, they might find you.
Mhm.
And that scares me more than having to go up and fight a big hulking monster, you know?
It's like the feeling.
At least if I go down fighting, you know? I go down on my terms. I'm not just being dragged out of a hiding place and murdered.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? I guess we know who's the coward and who's not.
Right. Well, it's like that feeling of when you're the last person in the basement and you have to turn off the light at the bottom of the stairs and you run up the stairs.
Yes.
Like, it's that feeling, and I hate it so much.
You live in
You
a
just-
basement?
I know.
You just brought back so many pure little kid
I'm
memories.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's not even
No,
little
it was-
kid memories. Okay, wait, Elsa. Last night I had to get last night I finished watching Stranger Things season 2 last episode, you know, getting caught up. And it was like midnight 30 and I needed more toilet paper. So I went down to the basement to get some. And I found one of those clicky lights in like on the main floor that you can like click in and then it gives you light. So I used that and it was not bright enough. And so I like ran down there and I grabbed the toilet paper and then I just like ran upstairs.
Okay.
Because you crapped your pants.
Also, I still get
no,
basement-related
say anything.
nightmares, and our basement is uber creepy in that it always feels like you're being watched.
It really
when you go
does.
down.
Whatever.
It
I only
seriously
saw
feels like you're
looming
always-
dark
You feel
figure
like
that
there are
one
eyes-
time.
There are eyes at the back of your neck every time you're in the basement, and it's freaking
And it
creepy.
might not just be our creepy cat
I
Sylvester.
feel that.
Also,
In the daytime, even
Yeah.
when I'm
Also-
down there.
anybody else think of the episode of Community when it's what's his name, and he's like, I just want to play on the swings. I want to play on the swings. They push me off. They're like, yes, childhood trauma can be a very great energy source to draw from. Childhood trauma that happened last week.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, guys.
Great. That was great.
It's kind of fun that we record so late just because it makes us loopy.
It does.
Yeah.
This is a bit too late. Okay, and we're going to skip talking about the panel that was on soundtrack because I don't know about you guys, but when I was listening to the panelists talk about video game music and video game soundtracks, the thought that kept coming through my head was, I could do this. I like that they made it a point that like only one of them was really like a music person.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what?
Well, like
We're all music people.
I'd never like really thought about it, but that was the moment I realized that video game music is really important to me and I always notice it.
Yeah.
And so we should probably just have an episode where we just
We need
focus
to
on
just
music.
we need to do a
Yeah.
music episode
Yeah.
because
Maybe we
music
should do that
is-
next time.
Yeah, music
we
is kind
should.
of huge for all of us in its own way, and there's a
Yeah.
lot to say about music. So we'll just do a music
Yeah.
episode. But so last question, what else stood out to you at GamesCon?
The funnel cake.
Oh my gosh, it was magical.
It was
good.
really good fun.
Remember how much
massive.
you complained about buying it?
It was really yummy.
I
I
know.
complained
Complain
about
about buying?
I
Yeah.
complained about buying the lemonade, which was $6.
Okay, yeah.
It was dumb as heck, and it wasn't even that good. I'm
I was-
so
at
mad.
At least they let you refill it.
I was thirsty.
That the refill wasn't free, was it?
No, it was $3.
What?
$3.
Oh my God.
We should have just gotten the soda at the beginning.
It
Oh
was
my gosh, I'm
dumb
so
crap,
furious, you
man.
guys. The
Okay.
soda was amazing.
Yeah, the soda was amazing.
It was, yeah. Oh, is that all Laney wanted to?
Oh, I also wish I had cosplayed, but you know, a time and a place, my dude.
Okay.
Time and a place.
We did only give you
Like
like,
a
3 days
GamesCon
warning.
maybe?
We only gave her 3 days warning.
GamesCon
I
on
texted her
Saturday.
like a day or two before the panel on Thursday and was like, "Are you coming to that with us?" And she was like, "Wait, there's a thing to go to? I don't have a ticket." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess we'll get you a ticket."
I suppose I could have worn your ratty Pikachu costume.
You should have. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I'd be the only person in the group in costume.
That's okay.
You would have been our Pikachu.
Yeah.
We could have been trainers.
We could have thrown balls
We've
at
been
you.
trainers who are fighting over which one this Pikachu belongs to because we all threw a ball at it and we don't know whose ball it was that caught it.
Mm, Whoa.
Why do cosplays have to have elaborate backstories with you?
No, I just I
you could
saw it
just
as an
be-
opportunity to do some creative
Look,
writing.
You could have just been Ash Ketchum and his rando friends. The one that kind of looks like
guess.
he's named Chad and the girl with the red hair.
If you want to be boring about it.
Erin, please bring us some sanity.
I'll try.
Uh,
Yeah, so I loved all the panels that we went to. The art that everyone was selling was really cool. And always love people watching, especially for all the amazing cosplays. And we saw a bunch of KDA cosplays, which made me super
Cosplay.
happy.
Pop stars.
Yeah, pop stars.
Yeah.
Also, like Elsa said, the soda, like holy crap. So Wild Bill's Old Fashioned Soda Pop Co. They give you these cool looking old school mugs, and you get free refills, which I wish we had known because we would have been going throughout the whole thing. But I looked online and it doesn't look like they have any shops or food trucks. Looks like they just go to conventions and you can't order their soda online.
Oh, dude.
And I'm like dying. I'm like, when will I see you again?
Just have to go to the
My
next
love.
Gamescom in a year.
Remember.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's how
if you think
feel.
about it though, assuming they don't go out of business, that's going to save you tons of money on drink
Yeah.
for every convention you go
Yeah,
to from
true.
here on out.
Any other conventions? If they go to Comic-Con, then there you go.
Mhm.
Next Gamescom, there you go.
Yeah.
Find some other things to go to conventions over.
Find some other stuff to care about.
Yeah.
Just real fast.
Earth.
The Earth. Yeah.
There's a knitting convention. Or...
If we were in Vegas, there'd be conventions all the time.
It's true.
But we moved.
I'm
Don't
glad.
Yay.
don't
Yeah,
don't
okay.
go to a furry convention.
I mean, Vegas was
No.
fun.
Maybe
Why
not.
not?
Well, last
I
year.
mean, I don't know if you
I
want
bet
to go
they're
and support
nice.
their community, but like, I don't think Erin's up for it.
Okay, but try to picture them drinking soda without taking their heads off.
Oh no. Well, some of them are like, no, not taking my head off, and
Yeah,
others are
no.
like, oh, I'm just wearing a pair of ears. Or
I mean, I
something.
don't know enough to be like,
And-
but I just wonder, like, I'd want to go just to see what choices
they have
people make as far as
specific-
like eating food and drinking stuff. You
From
know?
what I
Wanna
understand-
protect the costume.
Do they have like? Do some of them have like mouths cut open? Like,
No. I think. Okay, so from my understanding about first,
This is a
convention-
tangent that we do
Elsa.
not
They
need.
have-
Just no tangents. Okay,
Okay.
move on.
My thing that I want to shout out for GamesCon was the Artist Alley. I really loved getting to talk to the artists and getting to see all of their work. I'm kind of shy, and I kind of am really cautious when it comes to talking to people, especially talking to people who are looking at me with hope in their eyes, like they're like
Oh, I'm
really
so scared to make eye contact with
I
anyone
know.
trying to sell me something.
They're really invested in me buying something from them, and I know that I don't have enough money to buy all the things that I want. And so I don't know, I get really nervous, but the truth is that most of them are super sweet and nice, and they do good work, and it was honestly like my favorite thing at the con to just like wander around and look at all the art.
Did you remember the name of the one lady?
Oh, Dead Binky?
Dead Binky.
She was really nice.
Give her a shout out because she's wonderful.
She
I
was
love her.
really, really super nice.
And she specifically does Ouija boards, which I just think is a new kind of idea for an artist. Most of them do tarot cards, and she was like, no, Ouija boards.
Well, and she gave a really good reason for why she hasn't done a tarot deck yet, even though I think her style would look great on a tarot deck.
Gosh, I'd buy it so
she was
fast.
kind of worried about her art evolving as she's working on the project, so that the cards she starts with and the cards she ends with look nothing alike, which is like a totally legitimate concern that I never thought about before, because people's art changes over time, and a tarot deck is a huge project.
Yeah, and
But
also
that could be kind of cool if you like specifically chose the order of cards that you're doing, so that if it did change, it kind of says something about the deck. That could be cool.
but
yeah, it's possible.
and she also
You should do a tarot deck.
okay, well, and she
Silence.
also
I'll
said
think about it.
that most artists do a tarot deck, and that she sort of wanted to stand out and be different.
Mhm.
And I think Ouija boards are something that you don't see as much.
Yeah.
And they're really pretty.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she
Like,
had-
I don't use a Ouija board, but I kind of wanted one.
She has some very pretty Ouija boards.
They're really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Mm.
And
Me.
Jensen.
I just wish we could have gone to all 3 days.
Yeah, we had to
I
work
was-
and stuff. It was dumb.
Yeah.
I was really sad that we didn't go to more, because like once I saw what the panels were gonna be like, and once we actually got there, I was like just so sad that we weren't able to be there longer, because it was really fun.
Mhm.
Basically, I had more fun at that than any other time I've left the house in like a while. So, I mean, other than to come here.
Really?
Or to go to like
Really,
Greece.
Jensen?
Oh, yeah.
Florence? I was
Okay.
about to be like, Jensen,
For
really?
2
You went to
weeks.
Florence.
It's more fun than any reason I had to leave the house for the last 2 weeks. I forgot we were I forgot that we were in a different country for a while there.
Jensen, gaming con, this sparks joy. Jensen, Santorini, this does not spark joy.
That's not true.
I haven't
It totally
used this in
sparked
the last
joy.
2 weeks.
I got to see places that I've only seen in Assassin's Creed, but I got to see them in person.
Yeah, Santorini
And I got to
blue
see that the
rooms, I
Florence
can see that
Cathedral-
anywhere.
The Florence Cathedral is really about as tall as it looks in Assassin's Creed 2. I was full on expecting it to be smaller, but actually
but
it's like
Jensen, you can
that big.
Google a picture of the Florence Cathedral, but you can't see a bunch of half-finished cosplayer groups of KDA walking around on Google. Except
it's like 12:30. Okay, it is too damn late for this joke.
Erin,
okay?
I would like to profusely apologize for like totally shirking on my moderator duties today.
Erin's been acting as
At a
moderator.
certain point, I just got really tired, and I've just been letting these two go. And I know that that's the reason why it's taken us this long to record this episode, is because I have been very ineffective at telling them to shut up.
Are we gonna do a really, really quick? What are you obsessed with that's not video game related?
Yeah,
right
we're gonna do the last 2 questions.
now? Okay, good.
If
Let's
we
do
can
it.
ever get to them.
Let's move on.
Okay.
So let's just list them and move on.
Okay, so this last question, so not the last question. The second to last question is, what not video game thing are you obsessed with right now? Erin.
Oh, so I recently had a gratuitous love affair with Miraculous Ladybug. Thank you, Laney. Watching tons of anime, Kaguya-sama. I probably said that horribly. Love is War, Zombieland. Is it Zombieland Saga?
Mhm.
Probably. Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul, all kinds of fun stuff.
And Hunter x Hunter, which is one of my favorites. right?
Yeah,
You were watching that one?
It's so weird. Sorry, I
love
know I
Hunter
wasn't
x
gonna
Hunter.
elaborate, but it's so funny
No,
because
go
it
ahead.
seems like it could be a kid's show, and then all of a sudden someone gets brutally murdered, or someone rips their heart out, or
Yeah.
something.
Like it looks so lighthearted, and like it is kind of lighthearted and joyous and everything.
Yeah.
But I love Hunter x Hunter because of the complex characters and character relationships, and like especially the villains. They go out of their way to really fill them out as people, and it's like something you do not see in a show like that very often. Anyway, I love Hunter x Hunter. It's so good.
Yep.
So, Stranger Things, obviously. It's July 3rd today that we're recording this. And actually, technically now it's the 4th because
Oh my
it's
gosh,
12:30.
shut up.
But anyway, I am really excited for season 3. I can't wait to go watch it immediately after recording this. Okay, also, I've been listening a lot to the podcast, How Did This Get Made? It's really good. It's with Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas and June Diane Raphael. And they just like watch like really terrible movies and then talk about it.
Laney.
Hannibal. I finished it. And it was great. And Hugh Dancy is a gift from heaven. There are a lot of other things, but right now I can't think of any of them.
This is the NBC television show Hannibal, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Hannibal, with Lawrence Fishburne, Mads Mikkelsen, and Hugh Dancy. And it was wonderful. Wondrous, beautiful thing. I'm reading Frankenstein right now, which I'm enjoying right now. Oh boy.
I'm reading right now.
I'm sorry. I'm also watching New Girl. That's a fun time. For some weird reason, I gave in to my complete id, and I'm watching that dumb Shadowhunter series. And I can't say I'm enjoying it, but I am watching it. I am consuming it. So that's the thing that's happening. And the last thing that I am obsessed with very much
She's got a lot of things.
is Running Up That Hill, the Meg Myers cover, but specifically the music video, because it has a very intriguing idea surrounding it. And I would suggest that literally every human being should watch it. People who are interested in watching it, if you have epilepsy or you're sensitive to flashing lights, don't watch it. Just have
listen to the
somebody
music.
explain it to you and listen to the song, because the song is
Have your
fire.
clerk explain it to you.
Have your law clerk explain it to you, please.
Nice.
Okay, and I just read George R.R. Martin's 1982 vampire novel called Fever Dream. I read this because I was excited for Elden Ring, and some stuff that I'd heard about it suggested that apparently this book is influential in some of the Dark Souls games. And I actually heard of it before, but it's one of those things that like I hear about it and then I forget about it, and then I hear about it and I forget about it. And this time I was like, not gonna forget about it. I'm gonna get the book, I'm gonna read it, and it was great. I actually like loved this book. It is definitely a vampire novel, lots of cool vampire stuff. George R.R. Martin's vampires are great. He really put a lot of thought into creating those creatures. They're like a separate species, and it's really interesting. I also learned a lot about steamboats against my will, because the book is almost more about steamboats than it is about vampires. But it's like really good. The characters are great. Fever Dream, that's fever with Fevre, like weird spelled.
Fever.
Fever Dream, because anyway, there's a reason why. Just read it. It's good. George R.R. Martin wrote a vampire novel, you guys.
Okay.
It's not a vampire romance. It's a vampire romance.
Mhm.
Yeah. What are we looking forward to playing next, Erin?
I want to play Judgment soon, but I'm already playing a long Japanese game, Persona 5, so I guess I'll have to wait till I finish that because they're giant. Control comes out next month.
Oh.
And I mention every time Code Vein, but this time it has a release date and it's
Yay!
September, and I'm so stoked, but also nervous it'll be like Dark Souls and I won't be able to play it because ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have the patience for that kind of
I don't know
stuff.
about if nobody has time for that.
Well, I don't have mostly I don't have the patience for
Ain't nobody
it.
got patience
I
for
have the
that.
time, but not the patience.
I was going to order Sinking City day of, But then a little bit of what I was saying about it, it seems like it's not going to be as scary as I hoped. It looks like it's more, like it does have spooky elements, but it looks like it's more in the vein of like Vampire or whatever.
Spooky.
More spooky, like action adventure mystery kind of game.
Spooky atmosphere.
Which could still be fun, but like I'm kind of thinking, maybe I'll wait then for that to be on sale. And just because I kind of am feeling like if I'm gonna start playing something new right now, I want it to be survival horror. I miss survival horror. I need more of it in my life. And I bought Inside right before it went free for Xbox Gold. So that is just me doing that. Just buying it right before it was. Could have just waited like 2 days. But I got it on the Switch, and that is the platform that I wanted to play it on. I didn't really want to play it on Xbox. Yeah. I wanted to play it on the Switch. So, I guess I'm not bitter.
I'm excited for Cyberpunk more than anything else, obviously. But I'm also excited for Outer Worlds. It looks really cool. And I was under the impression that it was a Bethesda game for like a solid week.
It is not.
I know. That's just an added little bit of trivia.
Jensen trivia.
Facts. Jensen facts. Jensen thought that Outer Worlds was a Bethesda game for a solid week. I learned that it wasn't from the Unofficial Controller podcast.
Yes.
So.
Okay, Lane face.
Sleep.
That's literally the last question. Do not hold the last question hostage. Just answer it.
Honestly, right now, all I want to play is Skyrim, which is a problem, but I did start Devil May Cry 5, so I guess I'm excited to play that. I'm very excited for Cyberpunk 2077, but isn't that coming out in 2020? So
yeah, I know.
Like,
it was always gonna come out.
Yeah,
in 2020.
I know.
Think about it.
I can't believe for
tabletop.
even a second I thought it might come out in 2019.
No.
So that's a
So
pipe dream
dumb.
that I'm ever going to get to play that ever. It's fine. Control looks neat. I'm super excited for Vampire the Masquerade. And I saw an ad for the Blair Witch game, and it might be dumb, but it might also be really fun. And there's a puppy. There's a pupper in it. I hope the pupper's gonna be okay. If the pupper's not okay, I'm gonna boycott it. So.
Okay, and then last thing, this is just a little thing. We've decided we're going to implement a new kind of silly idea. We're going to see how it works. Maybe we'll hate it and we'll just be like, nope, screw this. But it's one of our birthdays. Whoever the birthday person is gets to basically impose their will upon the gaming habits of the other podcasters here.
Just until then we record
Just
the next
until we
episode.
record the next episode. Basically, you have to... We're not going to like put a time limit on or a time requirement or anything on it, but basically you just pick a game that they need to try and play.
They got to give it a shot.
That they've got to give a shot. And like that's the birthday present that we're going to give each other.
And we're also going to do like holiday games.
Yeah.
Just for like major holidays. We're not going to like observe every single freaking holiday out there. But
it's National Friendship Day. Gotta play a friendship game.
No, like
no,
absolutely
like
not.
we're gonna do July 4th. We're gonna do 4th of July
because we're American.
Woo, America. But like,
so we're each picking an American.
So ashamed.
Yeah. So ashamed. Yeah, so we're American and we're gonna play American games. So for July 4th, I have decided I'm going to play Spider-Man because that's a pretty freaking American game in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's your Spider-Man.
It's an American
Peter
superhero.
Parker, just your average American teen boy who can also be a Spider-Man.
And just red, white, and blue colors and set in America. We're kind of letting the America theme here be really broad.
Yeah,
because...
especially because I've already played all the most patriotic games I can think of. So I'm trying to decide between Mafia 3 because it's set in America, made by an American company, and you play as a veteran, or Red Dead Redemption 1 because I only played like an hour of it until I tamed a horse and then got killed by a wolf and lost my save.
Also, Cowboys.
So wait, help me decide. Yeah, Cowboys.
Red Dead Redemption. That's my vote.
You vote for Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that one's more
What do you say?
classically American.
Red Dead Redemption? What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
Erin.
I've actually been feeling some serious nostalgia for Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Oh, that's a good one.
So, I don't know, if it works on Xbox One, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
buy
America enough.
Buy the crap out of it.
That's America.
That's America, yeah. All right, Laney.
I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed 3 and defend my
country?
my American
Defend your
American
boy
heritage?
George.
my American boy George and the former colonies, because Salutary Neglect was lit, and then England was like England was like, no, we kind of want your money instead, and we were like, no, and yeah.
Remember that time that we were in England for the 4th of July? And
Yes, and we drank tea.
and we wanted to buy some tea and then go throw it in the Thames.
Instead, we just drank it.
Yeah. You know,
Instead
if
we
you
just
really
drank
wanted
it,
to be
yeah.
American, you would have pronounced it Thames.
Okay.
Thames.
Now we gotta.
What about Elsa's game?
Oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Sorry.
Okay.
Spider-Man.
Now we gotta backtrack because I freaking jumped the horse.
Yeah, you
did.
Jumped the
Yeah.
gun.
Jumped the gun. I jumped the gun.
You,
Jeez, you call yourself an American?
you
Jump the horse.
jumped the gun. What's the shark one?
Jump the shark.
Jump
It's
the
a
shark,
different
jump the
meaning.
gun.
Okay,
I
we're
wanna
not.
jump the
Let's hope
shark.
that we're not jumping the shark yet.
Punching the boulder.
Okay, but Laney, now you gotta pick your birthday games because it was Laney's birthday on
Right.
Sunday.
So what birthday games are you imposing on all of us?
So, well, I have decided to do a little switcheroo with Elsa and Jensen, because Jensen would happily play Dragon Age Origins and Elsa would happily play Outlast. So I'm switching that around.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jensen's gonna play Outlast and Elsa's gonna play Dragon Age Origins.
Okay.
And then
Jensen's weeping.
because I'm an absolute fangirl and I really love Dragon Age, I'm also gonna have Erin play Dragon Age, but not Dragon Age Origins. She's gonna play Dragon Age 2, because you can play them separate from each other. And I don't think you've played Dragon Age.
Can
2.
I suggest a slight modification?
What?
Let's have her play Whistleblower,
Yeah.
because she might actually finish it. It's
Yeah.
not long.
We'll say Whistleblower.
Yeah.
And then I can watch parts of it because I love Whistleblower. I want to watch the end.
I've only watched you play Whistleblower once.
It's fine.
It's fun.
If what's his name on PlayStation Access could do it, you can.
Oh my god.
He was really bad at it.
I almost beat that one on what's the
No.
really hard mode where you can't save or get hit at all?
The Thing.
hard mode.
No, it's like
No, it's like
nightmare or
insanity.
insanity mode. I don't remember. I almost beat
Hardcore.
it. No, I beat
It's
it on.
probably insane since you're in an asylum.
I don't remember now because it's been a
I
long
don't
time
know.
since I
That
attempted
seems
it.
far too logical.
It's been a really long time since I attempted it, but I beat it on every mode except for that one, and then I decided to give it a try. And I got to I was so mad. I think I had like 5 minutes left in the game. And
Wasn't it the part where you have to go underneath the table while the groom is coming and he jumps over the table and
That
then you have to
one's-
go past it? Wasn't it?
no,
that spot?
it was someplace where you have to jump up and grab onto a windowsill and climb into it. And
Ah.
I was standing in front of the wall, pressing the jump button, and I kept hitting the wall.
Ugh, that's the worst.
And yeah, it was so frustrating
Hmm.
because it was one of those things where like the timing was just a hair off,
Yeah.
and I died, and I was so sad. All right, you can tell the less embarrassing story.
Oh, my story. It's my greatest accomplishment in my entire young life, and that is including graduating high school. Yeah. I was leaving the place that I work, and I was walking from the building to my parking spot, and not my parking spot, it's just a parking. I was walking from the building to the parking lot, and right outside the building is a busy street. And as I'm passing by, I look around at the cars and the traffic because there's road work around. And I just noticed this young man on a motorcycle. And I don't know, I just keep looking at him because there's something about him. And he's
He's a man-shaped man.
He's a man-shaped man. He's very nice.
He looked like a man.
He does look like a man.
Oh, he
and
was gorgeous.
he was gorgeous. He looked very nice. He had eyes that pierced into my soul. And I guess that's when I realized that he had a blue helmet on that, like, covered his eyes like a Ninja Turtle mask and then went over his head down to his neck. And I was like, that's an interesting design. I feel like I've seen that before. And then I looked down at his chest and I realized there was a white star on it. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. And then I realized he had a shield on his back. And then I was like, oh, okay. And I went from having this quizzical look on my face to this like surprised, happy look on my face.
Oh, it's Captain America.
Yeah, I was like, hello, Steven. And at this point, the man makes eye contact with me and he smiles like, oh, hey, yeah, you're enjoying my costume. That's great. And I just looked at him and I smiled and I nodded and then I gave him a big old salute. And he gave me a salute back. And then he just rode off.
Greatest moment of your life.
And it was so great. He did ride off into the sunset. It was glorious. And I was just like, yeah. It was perfect.
That's great.
And he might be a famous cosplayer, but we don't know. I hope he's a famous cosplayer, but even if he wasn't, he was committed, man. It could have just been Captain America.
I really hope it was just Chris Evans.
It's just Chris Evans.
That was so funny.
You know, driving past the Redmond building in his
For
full
some
Captain
reason.
America suit. Maybe he's going to primary children's.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Aw.
That would be cool.
Aw.
Yeah.
Let's imagine
Actually,
that's what happened.
whether or not it was Chris Evans, there's a real likelihood that he was going to.
Aw.
Actually, yeah.
Because it's
That was neat.
yeah.
Let's imagine
Aw.
that's what's happening.
I mean, it's 4th of
Yeah.
July, so
Right.
Captain
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, in America.
Mhm.
You get it?
America.
Yeah, that was part of my surprise too. I was like, hey, it's America Day.
America Day. Not yet. It's actually
Yeah.
our parents' anniversary today.
But it's America Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I mean, America Day sort of takes over the entire week. It's America Week.
Okay, we're done, right? This is Princess in another podcast, and I want to go to bed.
Your princess is not in this podcast. Check back
Later.
later. Maybe she'll be in the next one.
Honest-
What do we say?
Honestly, I think your princess is like tired right now. She's gonna go to bed.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
princess is dead tired. She's gonna go watch Stranger Things for a little while and then go to bed.
This is Princess in another podcast, and I am the most tiredest princess in all the land.